Welcome back to another weekend on Genealogy TV 2. If you're new here, my name is Connie Knox. I'm a professional genealogist, and this channel is the slower paced version of doing family history research. This is like unedited, real-time research. Today, I'm trying to figure out, as I'm researching, let me take you over to the family tree just to give you some context here. I am going up this line here. I've already completed the research. I thought I did, but then I found more stuff yesterday. You know, sometimes you end up doing multiple people at a time, so all of these blue circles are a work in progress. So I'm working on John Henley Sr. Now, it is my understanding that you see that there are others back here. This is stuff that I found years and years ago, right? And this guy supposedly comes from Pasquotank County. Well, you know, I'm at this phase where I've been going through every person in my family tree and really proving the lineage with every record, especially with the new technology that we have now with family search, full text search, and some of the new techniques that we have on Ancestry. And so my goal here today is to discover the path back to the Perquimans and Pasquotank County area of North Carolina. Now, this shows him here, but I have never in my mind totally proven that this family comes from that line. If you see, he dies in Randolph County, which is where most of my guys are. If you've watched my channel before, you know I do a ton of research there because basically this whole side of my family is from Randolph County, North Carolina. So, long story short, is I have been working all day yesterday and part of last weekend researching and going through the research notes for, this is John Henley Sr. I could probably label it that way just to help everyone understand the difference. So because there are so many John Henleys in this family, so John Henley, John Henley, John Henley, I kind of have to keep track of who's who. So Pasquotank and Perquimans County are right next door to each other on the map. In fact, I have a website that I created called NC Ancestry, and I really just, it's for my own use, really. But if you hover over, you can see that Perquimans and Pasquotank are right next door to each other. And they're along the water. And I was originally told that, that the early Henley settlers came into this area by ship. But then I found some other family history societies who argued with me and said that was not possible, that they had to have come down the Great Wagon Road. And so I don't know what's right and what's wrong. I'm, you know, doing the research. So this is NC Ancestry. If you happen to, I mean, you're welcome to come here and search here if you want. I've linked to a lot of stuff. Mostly it's stuff that I need that I want to refer back to, but I have done almost all of the counties here. These I actually worked backwards alphabetically, so these counties have not been done, but I would just, you know, find stuff that I found interesting, and so then I would plug it in here as a resource. These are some of my own videos and somebody else's video that is on my channel now. But long story short, you know, I created these maps and everything to create this website as a tool, right? So there's that. Okay, so enough of that. We don't need to see that anymore. Now you got the backstory of what I'm trying to do. So we're trying to get to John Henley Sr. So let's open his profile and give you some background. So he was a Quaker, as was a lot of this family. And over time, I've been finding records. He built a mill on the Uwharrie River in Randolph County. He ends up selling that land later on. He attends a wedding. So as I'm digging through the Quaker records, and I'm really going deep into the Quaker records and following the path. So in the Quaker records, a lot of times you see a marriage intent, and then sometimes immediately following will be a marriage certificate, but a lot of times it is the groom has to come to the bride's meeting house and announce with her their intent to marry, and then there's just this whole lot of different then she goes to his meeting house and they make an intent to marry announcement at that. That happens several times, and that gives the opportunity for the community to object if for any reason. And once they have clearance to marry, then they get married. And the cool part about Quaker records and marriage records in this case, the cool part is that the marriage records, in fact, it looks like, let's grab this URL and I'll show you. I put it in here just for anybody to grab. And so I can plug that in and go straight to the record. The nice part about these marriage records, whoa, sorry, my new computer in this Zoom function on Windows 11, I guess it is. I don't know what it is. Anyway, the marriage records in the Quaker records, the nice thing is that every person that attends the wedding, I don't know, is this the one? I think it might be over here. Everybody that attends the wedding signs the certificate. So here you can see John Henley, Sr. Whoa, that's like seriously zoomed in. I am so sorry. I can't control that very easily. John Henley, Sr., right? That's the abbreviation for senior, has attended this wedding for, I believe it is his daughter, Millicent, I think it is. And so basically up here you see the intent. So Phineas Nixon, son of Phineas Nixon, and Mary, his wife, of Perquimans County in the state of North Carolina, and Millicent Henley, daughter of Jesse Henley. Okay, so it's Jesse Henley's daughter, and Anne, his wife, in the county of Randolph, North Carolina. On and on, they declare their intentions, right? And then down here it says, now these are to certify all whom it may concern that for the full and accomplishing of their said intentions, this 16th day of the 9th month of the year of our Lord, 1787. So in 1787, they get married. And they are here in Guilford County, Center Monthly Meeting. And so, long story short, is Guilford County is next door to Randolph County, but she is from Perquimans County, was it? Let's see, in the county of Randolph. Okay, she at this point is from, I think, Guilford County. Let's see, let me double check. Phineas Nixon, Mary, his wife, from Perquimans County. Okay, so she's from Perquimans. So this is the record that ties this family together, John Henley, to Perquimans County through his wife. Excuse me, wrong. This is Phineas Nixon. But there's a couple situations because Keziah Nixon also is from that area, and her their marriage records say Little River Meeting House is what I wrote there, Perquimans, North Carolina. So same goes here, right? That John Henley Sr. from Randolph County, and subsequently all of his children. So Keziah Nixon is also from Perquimans. This is the great part about Quaker records, is because they tell so much of the story, and there's so many people that are in the record. So John Henley Sr., not only does he have a tie to Perquimans County through his wife, but he attends other weddings from being part of the attending, right, of another wedding. So and Millicent is his sister. Okay, so I made a note of that because sometimes there's so many, his family is so big that I have a hard time keeping track of them all. All right, so what's the point of this video? The point of this video is to figure out how many John Henleys are in Pasquotank and Perquimans County during the time that he may have been there. So the one downside to the Quaker Records, this is a screenshot from the Encyclopedia of American Quaker Genealogy by Henshaw. We call it Henshaw. Okay, so the problem is a lot of times it will tell you when they were born, but even though this particular one is from the Back Creek Monthly Meeting, here I'll zoom in so you can see that a little better. Please stand by. There we go. So this is a screenshot right out of from Ancestry, and it's from the Henshaw book, and it's the Back Creek Monthly Meeting, which is in Randolph County. Okay, and it shows, this is John Henley. It says junior, but later he becomes senior, so that can be confusing, and his wife Keziah and all the children. Okay, so the thing is that it will list in every meeting house their children and their birth dates, which is great because it gives us the relationship, it gives us evidence of marriage, but it doesn't always say exactly where they were born. It may elude, I mean, you may think that John Henley Sr. was born in Randolph County, but he appears, and all of these children appear in a couple different Quaker books. I mean, yeah. So, because that was their practice, was to, every time they migrated to a new location, they made note of all of the children. So in this case, you can just, I'm just scrolling through my research notes here, but in this case, I'm trying to eventually figure out how they came back to Perquimans County. You can see here that their children are noted in Simon's. That might have been him. Let me go get back over to Ancestry where I can blow it up bigger. Let's look at these Quaker records. Because you got to be thinking, while you think that they may be born in a certain place. Whoops, sorry. This is Center Monthly Meeting in Guilford County. Backing up because this is not what I wanted. This might be the one I wanted. All right, so this is a birth date of 1793. This is going to be Junior. This is going to be John Henley Jr. Oh my gosh, this zoom control is driving me crazy. I'm using the scroll wheel. Sorry, my allergies are going nuts, as you can probably hear. Birth of John Henley Jr., child by Keziah, his wife. Let's go zoom in a little bit so I can see that. Even though that says junior, he's actually senior. And then it goes through, and here's John Jr., later becomes John Jr., born in 1793. Okay, so while this is the Back Creek records for Randolph County, you would think that they were born in Randolph County. And they may have been. But these same children may show up in the Guilford County records or the Pasquotank County records as they were migrating around. So, and there's no date on when they entered that information, so it's a little tricky sometimes to figure that out. I have gone through and I've found all of the records that I could. Now, 1820 does not exist for Randolph County. So that just isn't happening. I wonder if I put that in here. Did I? Sometimes I will put an event. Let's do that. So how you do that is you go add type of event. And I'm going to say custom event. And I'm going to say 1820 census. Oops. Okay, so 1820 Randolph County census does not exist. And I'm going to say 1820 so that it falls into the timeline for Randolph County. Apparently, it's lost. There we go. And I'm going to hit add. So now when you come down here, if I'm looking and I'm going, hey, what am I missing? It's prominent in here. You can create any kind of custom event. Okay, so now I need to search. I think I'm one generation too soon because I actually think Jesse Henley, let's go look at him for a second. I'm pretty sure that he is the one that starts in Perquimans and Pasquotank County area. They're right next to each other, and apparently the meeting houses were right on the river, splitting between them. So So as you can see, we're getting back there in time. And so some of the things that we can do to try and find records, especially before census records were created, is to search tax records, is one of the things that you can do. Land records, wills, and probates. Those are the three that I really go after when searching back in the colonial era. So let's think about this for a minute and get our head together. Now, one of the things I always advise is don't jump too fast, but I kind of have to go back one generation to make sense of this. So let me show you this. This is from a book called Reminiscences of Randolph County. And basically what this says is that John, was it Jesse Henley? I think this one's Jesse. In 1788, the legislature, when sitting at Fayetteville, passed an act establishing a town on the lands of Thomas Dugan, embracing the new courthouse, and appointed Jeduthan, Harper, Jesse Henley, Samuel Milliken, William Bell, basically, and others as commissioners, right? Well, as it turns out that one of these Henleys, I think it was Jesse Henley, donates the land for the courthouse and was a big landowner. And so I believe that Jesse Henley originally came from the Perquimans Pasquotank area. So that begs the question that did John Henley Sr., was he born there? So as we go back to John Henley Sr., who I'm actually actively working on right now, we need to see if we can figure this out. So let's look at the 1790 census. He's born in what? Please stand by. Let me go back. This is Randolph County. Let me go back. He's born in 1766. That's before America was born. Not by much, but a little bit. Okay, so 1790 is the first census he's going to show up in, and that is in Randolph County. And I went and did the research and tried to find every John Henley that could possibly be. And basically, over time, there was only two. And through the deduction of figuring out the tick marks, basically, and the family names. So here's John Henley. And I know you can't see the headers, but sometimes it helps to open the index, and so it tells you one male between 10 and basically 15, and then this is going to be 16 to 25, and so on. So here's John Henley, and this is the 1810. So you do basically the same thing. Let me grab something. I'll show you. This is a document that I created. If you look at the tabs across the bottom, we have 1830, 1820, 1810. I was working, these are in chronological order, but I was working backwards. So basically what I did was I just roughed this out. You can do this in Google Sheets or Excel. This happens to be Excel. And I copied the form from the forms that I've downloaded on various websites. Here, I'll show you. Please stand by. So here in my genealogy archives, let's just get rid of this. You don't need this. Up at the top in the United States, I have census, and I have all the census forms, right? and it's not going to show you the census form in the preview, of course, but here I've downloaded all the forms. You can find these on Ancestry Family Search at the NARA website, and it helps to know what the column headers are, because a lot of times in these early records you can't see the headers. And so long story short is I recreated those headers in an Excel spreadsheet and then decided, based on the children's ages that I knew of that were living at the time, in this case 1830, do the tick marks fit with the family? In this case, the green color means yes. Here's 1820. Whoops, did I not do it? Oh, 1820 was lost or missing. 1810. So here I was comparing the two different John Henleys, John Henley Sr. and John Henley Sr., on different images, and I was comparing the known family. I plugged them in because they're not named in these early census records. It's just the head of household, right? So I was taking the ages of those people and I was lining them out, and I was going, okay, which one is it? So all of the orange ones basically is a miss. They don't match from what I was expecting their ages to be based on what I knew at the time. Down here is much more likely. And here there's a couple question marks, and it could be that these children are living next door with other family, because that happened a lot. And so, I've got a few question marks here, but I believe this is the one. And it's primarily based on his age and her age and a few others, right? So while it's not a perfect fit, sometimes they are, it, is what I expect this is to be. I'm pretty sure this is the right one on image 24. And by the way, it says image up here. So this was image 23, and this is image 24. Even though it says junior and senior, you can't really rely on that, because as this John Jr. grows up, he becomes junior, and he starts out as junior, and he has a son and names him junior. So junior becomes senior. Okay, going on to 1800. Again, I have a pretty good match here. There's only one that's off, and it's really only off by 1 year. She's expected to be 9 years old, and the informant might have said she's 10, so they plugged them into this bucket here. So this is the less than 10. She should have been listed here. I believe this is absolutely a match in 1800, but there's room for doubt. But there really is only a couple people at this point, and really one person that I think is it. So we have a couple other possibilities. This is possibility number 2, and this is possibility number 1. And I even made a note. This does not fit. There's too many males in the household, unless there's a bunch of cousins living there or whatever, helping on the farm or whatever. This is likely the fit, is what I say here, because we have pretty close. I think that his mother may have been living with them at this time. So that's 1790. All right, so that's how I did that. So now I want to figure out, okay, he's an adult. He's building he's only 18 years old. He's building a mill on the Uwharrie River at 18. This shows that his birth is from Guilford County, and this explains why I was saying that these people could be listed multiple times in the Quaker records in different counties. So let me see if I can find it here. And a cheater's way to figure this out with Quaker records, because Quaker records are done in chronological order. Although this particular record set is a mess. It's got a mix of births mixed in with meeting minutes and stuff, which is not typical for Quaker Records. They're usually separated. So the way to figure this out sometimes is to use the date in the index to figure out where they are, or sometimes you can do this. Open up the index and go, okay, where is he on the page, right? It looks like he's kind of toward the lower half. So that's probably the second page over here, and here it is. Isabel Henley, daughter of Jesse Henley and Anne, his wife. Okay, so this is the beginning of Jesse Henley's family being noted in the Guilford County records. And here's John Henley, son of Jesse Henley and his wife, was born on, what does that say? I can't quite, 27th day of the 12th month. So in Quaker Records, that's the 27th day of December, unless it's before 1752, I think is when the dates change. So in the year of our Lord, 766. Okay, so, sorry, my eyes are going crossed here. So this is the entry for his birth, right? Which I have used as the source, and these are his siblings down here, okay? So I've used this as the source for his birth record, but that doesn't necessarily mean he was born in Guilford County, okay? Just saying. So I'm trying to decide, okay, well, if his father is from possibly Pasquotank County or Perquimans County, then is his son, right? He marries in Perquimans County. He has residence in Pasquotank in 1754, 1757. Now, my guy's in 1766 is when he's born. Still in Pasquotank in 1758. This is his father now. 1759, he's in Pasquotank. 1761, he's in Pasquotank. 1761, 1762, 1762. Huh? You're asking what? He gets married in 1763. I think his first wife had died by this time. Let's go look. Yeah, his first wife dies in 1761. He marries Anne Crew, who is from Virginia. So he's gone up there to Virginia. They give their intent to marry, right? And then they come back to Pasquotank, 1765, 1766. Also, a certificate was produced, I should say, on behalf of Jesse Henley, which was, boy, do I have some typos there. Let's fix that. I think, what I did was I was copying from a quote. Let's just fix this, though, because that's going to drive me crazy. Okay, close enough. All right. So now he's in 1768, he's in Guilford County. 1766, October. Accepted to New Garden Monthly Meeting in Guilford County, North Carolina. Jesse Henley produced a certificate from Pasquotank Monthly Meeting in this province, dated the 5th. Sorry, my eyes are crossing again. Dated the 5th of the 12th month, 1765, which was read and accepted. Okay, so in the Quaker world, that means that, he got a certificate from his old church and produced it to the new church. So this is the migration, right? I should actually change this. I wonder if I can change this. No, I can't. Can I? No, I can't. All right, so this is the year that they're moving. So what does that tell us about John Henley over here, which 1766. Interestingly enough, there's two. Oh, that's Jesse. Sorry, John. I've actually seen in this family where they've had two people by the same name, two siblings by the same name. Usually one dies young. So 1766 to 1834. So is he born in Guilford County? Or was he born, let's see, let's double check. In fact, let's open this guy up in a new tab so we have them both open. So 1766, December, and they are moving in October. They're being, so more than likely, since Senior was born in December, he was born in Guilford County. Almost certainly. Right? And what do I have up here? I have him born in Guilford County. So I believe that to be accurate. Now, you know, it's been a while since I looked at this, so I'm still kind of double checking my work as I go. But what I want to know is how many Johns and or Jessies are in the Perquimans and Pasquotank County area. Just so that I know I'm on the right path, I've got the right people. Now, it's the families, the records that tie these people together, especially with Quaker Records, which is awesome, because the family units are often named. But when you have so many people, let me show you this. This is crazy. Let's go search John Henley. Whoops, Henley. Look at how many John Henleys I have in my family tree. And we've got a Joseph John even. John, right? So, cousins. Oh, third great grandfather, fourth great grandfather, right? So, and look, there's 3 pages of them. It just keeps going. All right, so that's why I was concerned. So we're going to go to search, and we're going to go to the card catalog. So when we're doing this, we have to think about time and place. We have to think about a name, but we also have to think about time and place. So if John is 1766 to 1834, we want to see if there's any records of him in Perquimans or Pasquotank. Just remember, let's go double check. I'm pretty sure that it was Pasquotank for this one. John. Oops, I hit the wrong button. My bad. Okay, so he's... all of these say Pasquotank. Okay, so I just wanted to see where I'm searching. So the way I do this in the card catalog is I go to USA. And remember that it's right around his birth, 1766, that we're looking. So let's go, we're going to be searching in the 1760s. And I'm going to use the keyword Quaker. And what that does for me is it gets just the Quaker records together, and then I'm going to search by record count because I know that this record set is at the top when I do that I'm looking for. So I'm not going to bother drilling down right now because this whole record set, I'll end up having to do it again. So this is what I call the side panel strategy. So the side panel strategy is using this, browse this collection and not this. Okay. Now I could do this. We could do it both ways. But because we have some information about where they were, right? This is, let's find a Quaker record that I know is from Pasquotank. So we're going to look at this Quaker record. This is Pasquotank. This is Simon's Creek monthly meeting. So this is something I already have in my records. So by going to the card catalog, whoops, I'm in the wrong place. So I've already drilled into this Quaker meeting record set from here, right? So I go to the state, North Carolina. I choose Pasquotank. And the only meeting available in that county was this Simon's Creek meeting. So in the Quaker Records, which is, I absolutely love these records, I have a lot of things to choose from. And one of the things that is in here is births and deaths, 1779. Now he was born, or 1679 to 1813, and births and deaths 1715 to 1866. So there's three different sets of records. No, my guy was born in 1766, so this one's not going to help me. So it's either volume 1 or volume 2 that might help me. So I'm going to right click and open in a new tab this first one and search in here. I have 80 pages to look through because you can't search from this point. So the trick is to figure out how these records are. And the same thing is for anything that you do in records that are like this. When you do the side panel research, I'm going to go through and I'm going to make sure that there aren't any other John Henleys in this entire county using the Quaker books. You can do the same thing later on with census records using that side panel. But the trick is to figure out how these records are organized. Registrar of births. Let's go zoom in a little bit. Registrar of births belonging to the Friends of the Meeting of Pasquotank and Little River. And they're kind of interchangeable. Little River. All right, see the A at the top? So we're going to H. So I don't have to sit here and read every one of these. Now, I could actually look at the index because this one happens to be indexed. So sometimes I will peruse these really quick to look for the last name Henley. But I don't need to do that because I know that there's an H. So let's skip ahead to image 9. What is that? Ah, I just happened to land on H. That was a lucky. I promise you, I didn't know that. So I can sit here and go, John, look there, look, ta-da, John, son of John Henley, was born. That's a "the," by the way. Born the 7th day of the 11th month in the year 1717. Okay, we need to keep track of this because there's different dates going on here. And then Mary, daughter of John Henley, was born, I can't quite read what that says, the 2nd day of the 11th month in 1719. All right, so let's just go double check for a second. I'm thinking. Please stand by while my brain loads. Let's go to John Henley. Let's see if I've already got one in my tree that was born in 1717, right? This was John, son of John, was born this is the 7th day of the 11th month in the year 1717. All right, so if I go back to here, and do I have a 1717 guy in here? Sorry if I'm sniffling. Ah, here's one. Okay, so this is probably him. So let's go look at his profile. Now, yeah, Pasquotank. Okay, and honestly, it's probably already got these records in here. So the trick is, let me just view this. That's a marriage intention. What is this? That's a death. That's not the same page, is it? That's page 134. This is a different book. That's volume 1, though. Page 134. This is... Okay, this is a lesson, right? We're on image 66 here. On this one, We're on image 9, but we're in the same book. Therefore, somewhere in here, they started over again with the alphabet. Okay, so whether it's first births and then deaths, I don't know, but this is apparently the page that has his death on it. John Henley departed this life the 30th day of the 4th month in the year 1728. Let me go look and see if this is my guy. Oh, wait. I have to go back. Wow, sorry. There goes my zoom again. Let me think. Where did I have him? Did I have him? I'm going to close this one out because I don't think we need this one. Oh, here we go. So that was his death record. So I can add his birth record, 7th of November, 1717. I just happened to trip across his birth record while looking for John Henley. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, all right, so these 1717. This is a little tricky sometimes because I have so many people by the same name. Saved to a person in my tree. And it's not John Henley. I don't know how they managed to mess that up. But it is. It's going to be this one because it's the son. Person in my tree, John Henley. And I'm looking for the 1717 guy. Here it is right here. And I hit save. And then I'm just going to hit save. It's too confusing to do it any other way. So now I've got his birth record in here, and what I can do is I can attach that birth record. It's probably going to be this one. Let me double check. Yes, I can attach his associated facts by going bada boom and hit close, and that way when we want to go, and where did you get that information from? It's right here. Okay. So, long story short, I'm not going to bore you with going through every record in that Quaker book, but I was on, I think it was image 1717, this guy right here. This is how I get back to it. So, whoops, wrong one. Please stand by. I hit the wrong one again. 1717 guy. I thought I hit the right record, but I must have hit that one. Birth, yes. So I was on image 9. That's where I left off. That's how I get back to it. I'm still looking for how many John Henleys are in Pasquotank County. So I might want to just keep a list going of how many John Henleys are born in this county in these 2 volumes. So I'm going to stop the recording for a minute and I'm going to go do that. All right, let me show you how I'm doing this real quick. I've created on that same spreadsheet where I was doing the census records, I've created another one. I decided I didn't need to like reinvent the wheel. Let's just put it in the same spreadsheet for this guy. So what I'm doing is I'm creating, first of all, I give it a title, right? How many John Henleys are in Pasquotank County? And I could give this a range. You know, I'm going to say 1700s through 1800s, maybe. I don't know. Something like that. We can always modify it later. So this is the record set right here. Simon's Creek. I don't know if you can see that. Let me zoom in a little bit because I'm not going to edit this. And so I want you to be able to see it. All right. So Simon's Creek monthly meeting. Birth and Deaths, Volume 1. I guess I could put a comma in there. 1679 to 1813. So what I did was I just wrote the words link like it was like this. So like it was like this. So, and then I grab this little handle and I drag it down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to link each page. So here we have a page 9 and image 9, excuse me. And so here this is image 9, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this URL, Control C to copy, and I'm going to come over here and I'm going to right click. I'm going to link this URL and hit OK. And now there's a link directly to that page. It will take me there anytime I click on that. And I can actually do the same thing here. In fact, I'm just going to Control C to copy and Control V to paste because they're both on the same image. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go through. I've kind of created some titling here to father and son. This is going to be confusing. I don't know if that will actually work. I'm going to put his date of birth, which is, as long as I'm here, what did we say? John Henley, son of John. It was born the 7th day of the 11th month in 1717. I gotta remember that. 7 November 1717. 7 November 1717. 7 November 1717. And hopefully that doesn't change. Good. Sometimes you have to format this stuff as text to make sure that it's not going to flip to be some weird number. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'll be right back. Just so you'll know, remember we were in the H's on this image 9. And remember we've discovered that this book starts over again with A's and B's. But all I'm doing is I'm kind of scanning the surnames. You can certainly do it if it's indexed. This is the same technique I use if it's not indexed. If there's no index at all, then I would do that. So look, if I flip to the next page, we're on L's. So I don't need to sit there and study every little page. Even though there's 80 pages, I don't need to study them. I can skip ahead. So we'll skip ahead a few pages at a time. And we're on O. Let's flip this down here. We're on, what is this? Simon, S. These are S's. Okay, so I'm going to skip ahead, right? Still on Simon's Creek, you know, so there's going to be a lot of Simons. All right, here we're starting over again, I think. No. Oh, let's go back one. That says D. So where are we? I want to make sure we're starting over. That's B. Okay, so we're starting over again, alphabetically. And these are births again, so G. We can even make it easier by doing this. Hill. Oh, this is H. So let's go back. Let's close this. Oh, Henby, which is probably Henley, right? So let's go look at this. So the transcription, whoever transcribed this, I don't know where all, oh, here we go. Thomas Henby. It looks like Henby. Son of Thomas Clerkey? I don't know. John. Whoa, I'm so sorry. John, son of, I'm going to assume that's like ditto, was born the 22nd day of the 11th month, 1781. All right, I'm going to put, that could be Henley. I'm going to put this in here in my little spreadsheet. This is image 24. I'm going to grab this URL, Control C to copy, and I'm going to grab my spreadsheet, and I'm going to right click, link, V, done. All right, this is John. It's, I hate to do this, but it looks like son of Thomas. And this was image 24. And he was born the 22nd of January. I believe that's 1781. 1781. 22nd of January, 1781. 22 January 1781. All right, so what that tells me, I'm going to hit save. What that tells me is that this book is starting over maybe by decades or something, because we're now much later in time than 1717, which was the first round that we did, right? So maybe there are multiple books here. Before we skip ahead, let's go one page forward to see if there are any more H's. No, we're into the Nixons, which are also part of this family. John Nixon. I will come back to them later because I do the same technique over and over and over again, and I don't like deviating from my mission here, and that is the Henleys. How many John Henleys are in Pasquotank County in the 17 and early 1800s is really the goal here. So let's look at the index. Sometimes that's easier. Some newbies. I recognize all of these names. Pritchard. All right, so I'm going to skip ahead a couple pages. I'm going to skip ahead a few more pages. All right, we're starting over again. Let's see what this header, if there's anything that says what this is. So there's Z, right? And here's the beginning of the A's. I think. Was that not A's? Family wife, Trotter. Interesting. It says Trotter, but yet the index says Albert, I guess. Oh, that's because of this. Okay. Sometimes you just have to slow down and read. All right, so here's the B's again. So I'm going to skip ahead. Oh, I'm on M's. Did I go too far? Ah, John Henley, son of John and Mary Henley. Aha! Aha, we're here. Okay, John Henley, son of John and Mary Albertson. Okay, let's give you some context here. This is some of my family. Let's get rid of this. I'm going to minimize this for the moment. Oh, there's so much here, and this is in Pasquotank County. All right, let me get rid of this one. Oops, sorry. Let's go back to the tree and look for Albertson. What was her name? Mary Albertson? John, son of John and Mary Albertson. Okay, so let's go Mary Albertson because I know there's Albertsons. It would be easier to find because I have so many John Henleys. It's easier to find by the wife. And this, I don't know which one it is. John Henley III, and these are the children, I'm pretty sure, that are listed in this record. So let's do this, shall we? Let's take this screenshot. We'll pull it apart. We're going to pop it over here. Then we're going to open... Nope, not that one. Sorry, this one. And we're going to take this whole set and we're going to... I'm trying to get it to snap to this. All right, we're just going to have to do it manually so that we can compare. We don't need this. And the reality is we can make this smaller and make this bigger. And we can make this zoom in a little bit. John Henley. Now that H is, I think, from the book. See that H over there? I think that H means it's from the book. All right, I see Elias here. Henry Henley, son of John and Mary, was born the 27th day, 1766. I'm pretty sure that is going to be this Henry, excuse me. Joseph, is he in here? Do I have the right family? Penelope. There's Penelope. For some reason, there's not a Joseph. Son of, is that somebody else? I can't quite understand what that is. I do not know. What does this say? It does not say. Does it? Let's go across. There's... There is information here. All right, so we got to figure out who that person is. Joseph Henley, son of... I know, you guys are screaming at the TV going, Connie, it's so-and-so. I'm looking for Joseph here. It's Joseph right here. Let's highlight him so I can then scroll across. See, that doesn't say that. That says Penelope. This says son of. I do not know what that word is. Petboes is what it looks like, and that does not make sense. Oh. And it says the same word down here. Petitions? I do not know. Please stand by. I'm grabbing my snipping tool and I'm going to copy this page. Right here, I'm going to go over to my friend ChatGPT and say, can you transcribe this, please? I know, I have to be all proper even with them. You know, it's just ingrained in me. So, I hate it when it gives me two responses. I love how it says ye. This is the response we want. But it's not telling me what that word is, which is bugging me. All right, let's go back over here. I know, you guys are probably fast forwarding because you're going, Connie, we already know what this word is. Let's go and close this. I do not know what that, I'm pretty good at reading this stuff, but that typically is not what it is. Could help if I could spell. Sometimes chat can do this and sometimes it can't. This word in the image appears to be pedis or pedos, depending on the interpretation of the final letters and handwriting style. Huh. So it basically says, perhaps it's a variant of pedis or pedis. Both appear in North Carolina and Virginia Quaker Records. How much of that it is actually true, I don't know. But I find it interesting that I don't know what that is. So I basically asked it, I said it appears a couple times on the page, and it basically repeated the same thing, saying that it could be Pettus or Pettus. So long story short is we may discover what that is later on as we continue our research. It may be that there is a family by that last name, which I find interesting. Son of Pettus. I don't know. I don't know. All right, so here we have John Henley, son of John and Mary Albertson. So we wrote that one in our notes. Did we not? Did we? Let's go look. So, no, we did not. All right, so we are on image 36. And this is John Henley. And this would be, this was John Henley, son of John and Mary. I'm going to open this up so we can hover over this and double click and make it fit to the width that we need. I'm going to say on this one, this was the son of John above. So I'm clear with myself. Okay, I need a link to that page. So we go back over here, we grab this URL, Control C to copy, come back over here, right click, link, Control V to paste, and he was born, oops, don't touch. Son of, this looks like it says he was married. No. John Henley, son of John and Mary Albertson, daughter of Elias, was married the 12th day of the second month, 1766. I am confused. John Henley, son of John, Mary Albertson, daughter of Elias, was duh. So this is John and Mary's marriage record, the 12th day of the second month, that's February, 1766. We're not before 1752, so the dates have not changed. So in the Quaker calendar, before 1752, the first month was March. The first day of the year was March 28th, I think. So I'd have to look that up again, but I'm pretty sure that's right. So I don't know what I was thinking. All right, John Henley, son of John Henley, right? And Mary Albertson, daughter of Elias Albertson, was married on the 12th day of the second month, 1766. So let's make sure I don't have that open. So let's maximize this for a second. Oh, wait a minute. Do I? I have it open over here, don't I? Here we go. Okay, so what I want to do before I get too lost is I want to open up this profile in a new tab. I goofed that up. I should have done that better, but I didn't. Do I have? Oh, I do. I have that marriage record already in here, so I don't have to worry about that. Yay. And here's Elias. This is giving the name of her father, right? These are all the records that people are saying are assigned to that. Because I'm looking at one, I'm going to say yes, but I'm going to fix the name because I don't like the way that name is plugged in. And I'm going to close that. And now I'm going to edit this one. And I'm going to call it, based on this, ELIAS. Whoops. ELIAS. That is what I'm seeing right here. Okay? And 1704, I don't know where this stuff came from. I guess it came from those records. All right. So, and John Henley, son of John. So let's go back to this John Henley, son of John. All right, so that is consistent. Okay. So now I got to make sure that I've got two John Henleys here, right? So I'm going to minimize this and maximize this because it gets a little busy. I want to make sure that as I'm making my list here, that I have John. This is going to be wrong. This John Henley is son of John Henley. Oops, John Henley. And this is a marriage to Albertson. What was her first name? Mary, was it? Yes. Twelfth day, second month, 12th of February, 1766. Ironically, that is the date of our John Henley that we are looking at, but I don't know that's the same family. Okay. Okay, I forget so fast. Do you see how quickly I lost my brain? 12th day of February. 12th day of February. 1766. All right, I'm going to keep working on this, and I'll get back to you so you don't get too bored. Okay, here I'm on image 66. I'm still in the same volume 1, and I've come across some very old records. John Henley departed this life the 30th day of the 4th month in the year, I think it says bearing, I don't know what that means, 1728. And so we know that the old calendar started in 1752, excuse me, the Julian calendar. So, and here it says Elizabeth, daughter of this John Henley, departed this life the 5th of, I think it says of this month, 1728. I can't quite read that. But I asked ChatGPT to transcribe this section. And it says yes, because I was saying, hey, I don't remember exactly. I think it was 1752. The old Quaker calendar started on March 28th as the first day of the year. Looking at this image of John Henley's death date, what do these dates translate to? Please transcribe this Henley family. And so it says, yes, okay, agreed. Old style, Julian calendar before 1752 under the old system. So the new year began on the March 25th, Lady Day. I did not know that's what it was called. Not January 1st. The months were numbered, not named. So March was the first month, right? When Britain and her colonies adopted the Gregorian calendar in 1752, the new year shifted to January 1st. Okay. So it says it's transcribed the Simon's Creek monthly meeting, departed this life the 8th day of the 8th month, 1722. So as a genealogist, we're supposed to actually write it exactly as we see it. But it did modernize the dates for me if I wanted to. So I'm just giving you the heads up. Pay attention to your calendars. There are different calendars around the world. Especially before the 1752 date. Okay, I've come to the end of volume 1. I'm at image 80 of 80, and I learned a lot along the way. And what I learned, because I haven't looked at some of this branch in decades, I picked up a lot of information, a lot of references to John Henley, and they're different people, right? Some of them showed death dates. There were some extra people in there too that, so some of these are, this one's the year after the Gregorian calendar takes off. This is translated Gregorian. This would be Julian calendar. So, long story short is I found a lot of records. I was able to match them to my family tree in many cases. And now I'm going to go on to the second volume, which is right here. And that's what I'm going to work on next. I will let you know what I find. There, I'm getting started. I have 156 pages. But remember, a lot of times this stuff is organized in some manner. Here we have an index. So I might be able to jump forward to, in this case, look at this. I can see what this is going to tell me. Please stand by. Oh, no, it's not. All right, let's go back to image 1 for a second. You can see that it has a lot of the surnames in here. So here's Henley and all of the page numbers. So I might be able to just jump straight to those page numbers. I don't always trust that these were updated properly, but we'll see. Okay, I've come to image 156, which is the end of this book, and it ends actually with an index. And I did find my John Henley Sr. in here. He is noted as the son of Jesse from Randolph County, North Carolina. Keziah, his wife, right, who is the daughter of Phineas Nixon of Perquimans County. And so we're here looking at Pasquotank County, right, which is next door to Perquimans. And I was reading the history of the monthly meetings, which is the church, in the front of the Henshaw book, and it says that the Perquimans meeting is right on the water next to the Pasquotank meeting, right on the water, across the river, I guess. So there, it was often, I guess, that the marriages happened in either place. So this is them. This is their marriage date. So I've got date of birth, date of marriage, date of death, right? And as I found a few things, I did find specifically, this is my guy. This one is too. This is just an index page, I think, referencing this page here. So that brings me to the end of that volume. Now I'm going to go do the same thing for Perquimans County. So here's Pasquotank County. I want to switch to Perquimans County. Excuse me. Yes, Perquimans County. And I'm going to do the same thing. Now, I don't know exactly which meeting it is. I think it's this one. And I know there was mentions of Piney Woods. Here's another Piney Woods. So I've got some work to do. I'll let you know what I find. So one of the things that I'm doing when I went to the Perquimans County, right, and then I can check on the different meetings, I'm going to just start at the top. This is a quarterly meeting, which likely does not have any family in it. It's just the way quarterly and yearly meetings go. It's the monthly meetings where all the good stuff is. So I'm going to start with Perquimans, and then over here, it further breaks down into 4 different sets of records. I'm going to go through all of them, and I will let you know what I find. As I'm working through these records, I thought I would explain something. One of the reasons why I do this is because, and I'm skimming for the Henleys, the reason I do this is because if I search from the search page, where is it? This page, I get a long list of records that I didn't mean to hit save. That I get this long list of records that are duplicated multiple times. This way, I have looked through every page, every record. I'm skimming for the Henleys really fast. And by keeping, because this one's indexed, it's super easy just to flip through. Now, I realize there's 346 images on this roll, but it'll probably take me all of 20 minutes to do. And I'm seeing a lot of family names that I recognize, but they're farther back in the tree, other branches that I haven't confirmed yet. I'm sure they are, family matches, but I'm trying to stay focused. I'm looking for John Henley. That's all I'm looking for. Every now and then I'll go, oh, there's Jesse Henley. Let me go look at that. But then I remind myself that right now I will find that record again. Right now I am focused on John Henley. Now, is this the most prudent way to do this? Probably not. Because by the time you go through the search of going through this and going, John Henley, and I want to say that let's look for any event in Perquimans County and hit go. I'm not picking a John Henley here because I don't want to be biased. I could pick this one because this is the one I'm working on. But by the time I go through this very long list, like there's 1,100 and what? 1,120 different records to view. I just feel better about going through it this way because I know I've seen every possible record and I can catch the ones that are spelled differently, like Henly instead of Henley. Now I know that the search box will help me with that, but still, just by going through this, it's about the same amount of time as if I were going through that whole, where is it, search of all of these different possible records. I'm not going to miss anything by doing what I'm doing here. So that's what I'm doing. So this is fun. So here I am on image 141, and I see that there is a John Henley and a John Henley. And so I go and I look. At first I found this John Henley, which was over here. And it says, John Henley appeared in this meeting and acknowledged and condemned his fault to the satisfaction of friends. So basically what that means is they're a self-governing body, the Quakers. And so they were getting ready to either kick him out of the church or something. They were acknowledging a problem. And so John comes back and says, I admit my fault and so sorry. And so the church says, okay. But down here, if you go backwards in time, so these are monthly meetings, right? So this one is, I don't know what date this is. It says down here, actually. It's probably this February 1769 date because these are all written in order. But if we go back one and we come to this one, let me zoom in so you can see it. So this is part of a meeting where they're making notes. Also, there was a complaint open in this meeting against John Henley for fighting, and Friends appoints Francis Toms and Mark Newby to visit and order him to next monthly meeting. So he was getting in trouble for fighting, and then in the next meeting he shows up and apologizes. So love these records. These are 1700's records. You don't see this kind of detail a lot of times. So I'm adding that to my list, but I really don't know exactly which John Henley it is. Of the many John Henleys that I have, I will have to figure that out a little bit later. But right now, I'm just on the hunt to find as many as I can. So I'm going to copy this URL and add this to my list. You gotta love it. This is John Henley requesting a certificate to, this is Pasquotank monthly meeting. And so they are preparing to give him that certificate in good standing, and then down further in the next meeting, they give it to him, basically. So it says also the certificate read and approved and signed for John Henley, Friends to Pasquotank. So this is a migration right here, all on one page, which is awesome. All right, here's one for John. It's transcribed as Hanby, which might not have shown up in the index if I had searched for it. So I had to go back to the previous page to figure out exactly what the date is, and it is the 5th of February, 1783. This is continued on from the previous page, but basically it's looking to support house supposed to be the property of orphans of John Henley, or Henby, I'm not sure, deceased, and friends appointed Jacob Wilson and Thomas White, Caleb White, Caleb Winslow, I think that is, Caleb Winslow, Humphrey Parks, a whole bunch of people to form a committee to look into this. Anyway, and report to the next meeting. So John Henley, or John Henby, is deceased in 1783. So then I went over and started looking around in my tree to see if any of my people died at that time, and I did not find any that died in 1783. So I'm going to make a note of it and move on, but I don't see any 1783 deaths in the list of John Henleys that I have. That doesn't mean that they didn't exist, and it could be that it's not my people, but I'm going to make a note of it and move on. Okay, I switched over to the next set of minutes. If you look in this list, I'm here, and I'm on image 12, and this is the marriage record, believe it or not, for some of my ancestors. This is John Henley and Isabel Newby, and if you want to see where they are somewhere up in this tree. Here we go, right up here, way up here, okay? So, I want this record, but I can't read it very well. Now, I know that they're here because it says they can't really read it very well. It's John Henley and Isabel Newby. I know that for a fact. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this image. What I did was I copied and pasted this side of this image into Photoshop, and together we're going to see if we can doctor it a little bit. So here it is, and yep, I know you can't see that. Let me help you a little bit. Let's see, let's fit on the screen. So first of all, when you do these screen grabs with the snipping tool, it's not very good quality. So we're starting with that, and I don't have a way of really capturing it in a higher quality, but I can see. It says, whereof John Henley, right, of Pasquotank, I can't read what that is, county, and this is Isabel Newby. This is a horrible image. Let me see if I can do a better quality image. Please stand by. All right, so I managed to save that. What I'm going to do is, it's this PNG file. I'm going to drag this over here into Photoshop and see if it's any better. So I know this is like more information than you want to know, but quite honestly, I don't see a difference in quality. I think they're both lousy. Let's put it that way. All right, I'm going to have to fix this. Okay, I finally got my filters to work. So what I'm doing is I am messing with the exposure, which sadly Ancestry doesn't give you the ability to do that. But so I'm in a special Camera Raw filter, and normally you would use this with Camera Raw, but let's see if we can zoom in a little bit so we can see this a little bit better. So we can play with these sliders to make the contrast better or worse. So I'm also keeping an eye on this graph up here, trying to make and spread that out as best as possible because it'll make this more readable. And boy, that is hard, but it is certainly better than it was. Let's crank the contrast and see if that helps. So we've cranked the contrast quite a bit. Brought the exposure down. I'm also looking at the worst part of this down here, so I'm trying to get that legible, even if it has to be a little too dark. We don't care about this other side over here. This is the side I'm worried about. And I'm going to say okay there for now. And so now what you can see is the difference between that and that. So I think I cut off the bottom of the page by accident a little bit. But now what I want to do is I want to see if I can read this a little bit better. Even though it is very grainy because it's just a crappy image from what they allow, both just copying it or snipping it, it's the same thing. Whereof John Henley and Pasquotank, not sure what that is, County of Albemarle, and Isabel Newby of Perquimans, don't know what that is again, same county. Boy, it's hard. I wonder if I can filter this and try and sharpen it. Let me try that. So if I go to, I got to think about where this is. Please stand by. So I'm going to try this. It's called filter, sharpen, unsharp mask. Sometimes this works. So we can try and sharpen it. Now what it's going to do is it's going to give this weird white halo. So we can play with these adjustments and try and see if it's more legible. We can change the threshold. But this is I'll be able to pick out a lot of it. People called Quakers is what it says right there. Which some of this is also boilerplate language from, years and years of Quaker Records. I'm just playing with all different kinds of settings. If I really crank it up, it's ugly, really ugly, but it might be better to read, question mark. I'm also looking at these really hard to read areas, trying to pull those up. Wow, this is a really hard to read record. This is like pulling it out of the depths. It is from 1717. I would love to go to Guilford College. I may have to do that and look at the original record. I don't know. This says Henley. I can tell that. That's, I believe, John Henley right there. So what we can do is we could do a couple different layers. Like I could then copy this layer and experiment again with the unsharp mask. We can also turn it off and on. I don't know. We'll have to play with it some more. At the end of the day, I think I'm going to need to really take some time off camera and try and read through this, because I can read some of it, but I cannot read all of it. I can see that this is daughter of Gabriel Newby, which we talked about these two lines before. I can also see some of this, say, in marriage, Perquimans. I can't quite make out what that is. People called Quakers. It's a challenge. Some of this is so hard to read. I can see down here at the bottom where Gabriel Newby, Perquimans, I think that says of Perquimans. And so you can pick out bits and pieces of it. John Henley here in, So I can see different pieces of it. Isabel Newby again. But it's really challenging to make out some of that. But I can make out more of it than I could before, which was nothing, except for maybe the top line. So how these guys managed to index this, they must have been looking at the original record, because I don't know how they got all that out of it, but they did. Nonetheless, I have made notes over here on my spreadsheet. I'm going to keep moving on because I'm trying to find every John Henley in all of these records. So the search continues. I'll tell you one thing. By doing this, you really get a sense of how big a community was when you're sitting here looking at every name in the family, and you're sitting here flipping page after page after page looking at this. I mean, because I'm now before colonial records. I mean, before, you know, we're in the 1682 through about 1750-ish. Look, this is 1774, but look, these records are 1682, and that's not within this record set. So, wow. I mean, some of these records are pretty old. And so I'm just flipping through these indexes to see if I can find anything. Okay, this took me a couple hours to go through it all, but here's what I did. Perquimans, now I had gotten down to Piney Woods, and I probably should still do Sutton Creek, but what I did here was on, hold on a second, Piney Woods, and then I did all of this records. I skipped this one. I did this one because the ancestor I'm looking for, John Henley, is in the 1700s. And so I went through this one and I went through this one. I did not go through any of the others, and here's what I found for Perquimans County. So I made notes on everything. I made links on everything. So I did find some John Henleys in the 1700s in Perquimans County in these old minutes. There was a couple places where he apparently was fighting and then acknowledged his condemnation, I guess, and that satisfied the church. So then there was a request for a certificate to Pasquotank County, and that was approved in 1771. So this is kind of a big one. This is a migration right here, okay? And then there was some fighting going on with, there was a court case going on with James Griffin over some money. Apparently John, it turns out to be John Henley because he's, again, down here. It's a different set of records, but it's the same case, and it was settled in 1744, but apparently John Henley is the one who brought the complaint against James Griffin over some money that wasn't satisfied. So there's that. This is John Henley of Pasquotank County, and Isabel Newby is who it is, daughter of Gabriel. These people are in my family. I think I showed that to you already. So these three are valuable. This one for sure is of interest. So after all of this research, all of these, I made some notes about some others. This is, again, the same records as what we see up here. They were duplicated in a different record set. I went through all of these others, did not find any other John Henleys in the Piney Woods meetings. So it appears that he was in the Perquimans meeting. And so is this my John Henley? Most likely. But I still have some work to do to prove it. So there is a request to go to Pasquotank. So if I can tie those Pasquotank records to the Randolph County records, which I'm pretty sure I can, then I've got the link. I'm confident that there is only one John Henley, but what I'm going to do next, and not in this video, but maybe not even record it, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for tax records, and I'm going to look for maybe military records, because there might be some Revolutionary War records going on there, but the Quakers didn't like to fight, so they probably somehow bugged out of being in the military. And then I also need to look for land records in Perquimans and Pasquotank County. So that's my next goal. I'm going to end the video here because, boy, this is getting long. And so thanks for watching. Hopefully you learned something along the way.